Well, howdy, everyone. Good evening. Tonight is another night of Unplugged Live. We've got Adam. Rodney's not here tonight, but in his place, we have Dave with Projects with Dave. And man, we're happy to see you guys here. The chat is already blowing up as usual. You guys are always here to hang out and have a lot of fun, meet new friends, talk to old friends. Yeah, it's good. Also, as a reminder, we're streaming here on my channel, but also over on the brand spanking new Unplugged. What was it called, Adam? Unplugged something.
Just Unplugged Solar or something like that.
Unplugged Solar. We're over there streaming on that channel as well. You can watch it on either one. It doesn't matter. You can pick for now, but here soon, you're not going to be able to pick. It's going to be either there or nowhere. And we hope that we'll see you there. So go ahead and be sure to jump over onto that channel, which I don't know if we have a banner for that. Do we?
I'll throw one together.
Adam's gonna throw one together. But sorry, guys, I've been out of it. We'll talk about that maybe a little bit later. But yeah, check it out. Just do a Google YouTube search for Unplugged Solar, and we'll be there somewhere. But anyway, enough talking about that. Dave, you're here with us tonight. We appreciate that. Tell the good folks here a little bit about yourself. I'm sure most of them, a lot of them, know who you are just from your channel. But for those who don't, who are you? What do you do?
Well, yeah, I guess I'll start with where I'm from originally. I live in Ohio, but I grew up in Alaska, and I think that's probably the survival instinct part of me that ended up putting me into the space of solar. When you live there, you have to survive, and you need to make sure that you have what it takes, and that kind of just gets ingrained in you no matter where you go in life. But yeah, that's where I grew up. I lived in Florida briefly, Brazil briefly, but almost my entire childhood there. And then went to college in Ohio. Ended up staying in Ohio, and that's where I raised my family. We bought a piece of property back in 2003 because we wanted to live out in the country, but we couldn't afford a wooded lot at the time. So we bought a bean field. It was just an old farm field, and planted 6,000 trees, little seedlings. And those trees are all grown up now. You've probably seen them in the background in some of my videos, but I have a forest now, and we built our house. My kids and my wife and I, we took us about 2 years to build our house, and it's concrete from the footer to the roof. We used ICF construction, and we built it all ourselves, poured all the concrete ourselves. And then once I had all of that together, I used electricity for everything. Where I'm at, I would have needed propane if I wanted gas, and I calculated the cost for the energy, and direct resistance electricity and propane were about the same cost to heat anyway. So I have a geothermal heat pump. I dug a pond to make a heat sink for my geothermal system.
Nice.
And so I have a pond loop geothermal system, and with the ICF walls, it's pretty efficient. And so once I had all that built, the obvious next step was solar. And back when I was looking at it, I didn't think that solar would make sense in Ohio. But after running the numbers and looking at the options, I determined I could do it. And I actually, I got several quotes, and I was going to have someone install it. And I'm kind of a DIY guy. And like at the last minute, I couldn't do it. I was like, I can't pay someone to do this. The payoff time period was longer than I wanted. So I did it myself. And when I was building my house, I looked at a lot of YouTubes. Like I needed to do a crane. So I got some crane training on YouTube, and, whatever it was. So
right.
I thought, hey, this is my opportunity to give back to the YouTube community. And I just had my son film my original solar install with my cell phone and a cheap lavalier mic I got off of Amazon, and it took me like 6 months to put the video together. And I'm not a social media guy. Like I hate social media. So I didn't have any social media, nothing whatsoever. So I had to figure out how to make this channel. I come up with some stupid name, Everyday Dave. I'm just an everyday guy you can relate to. So I posted the video finally, and it got, 1 or 2 views a day, sometimes none. I'm like, great, I don't have to do anything with that. I went on about my life. And then some months later, I had the channel open for one reason or another, and it was getting thousands of views a day. It was at 30,000 views and just climbing.
Nice.
And I thought, wow, that's
That's
interesting.
awesome.
I wonder what happened. So then I was like, well, I guess I owe the community a follow-up. So I made 2 more videos. One was, what it cost to install it, and the other one was how it was performing. And between those 3 videos, my channel was launched. So that's how I ended up in YouTube, not intentionally.
Accidentally became a YouTuber. That's hilarious. Man, so you've got all sorts of cool projects going. First off, how many trees did you say you planted, and were they by hand, or did you have some sort of automation? Tell us about that.
Good question. So usually when I do a project, I use it to justify getting tools. So
Of course.
I justified buying a tractor, and I got a used tree planter. It took us 3 days. A lot of it was my wife and some friends riding on the back while I drove the tractor, and they were putting trees in. And then, we had to go back and kind of manually make sure they were all set properly and maintain them for years to get them above the grass and stuff. But semi by.
And how many was it again?
6,000.
6,000. Oh, yeah, man, that's a lot of trees in 3 days. That's impressive, man. I planted 3 trees in 3 days. That'll be a lot, but okay, that's great. Cool tool though. And have you used it since, or did you sell it?
I mean, I used it when I put in the dam for my driveway. It goes over a dam. In order to build my pond, I had to dig a keyway and put in a dam. And so, I used it for the whole construction of my house. I used it to maintain the trees since, I planted them. I used a brush hog to mow. It's 13 acres. So
gotcha. Nice.
I was mowing all 13 acres while the trees were growing.
Right. Well, that's awesome. Well, we've got some photos that we're going to take a look at here in a second from some of your projects. They look really cool. We'll have you tell us about them. First, let's do some shout outs. Joe Schmidt, man, I saw that email come through just before we started. I haven't looked at it yet, but have fun at Scouts. So I guess you're not even listening to this anymore. But if you get the chance to come back, but we'll take a look at that and we'll share that probably next week. Man, we got a bunch of people in the house. And also this is kind of cool because I'm seeing the comments, and Adam, you already know this, but I'm seeing the comments both from over on the new channel where we have Color Maker and Roy Amberg and Betty Powers and Grace Fisher. Man, they're all hanging out over on that channel. I guess that's the new place to be. And then of course, I'm also seeing the comments from right here on my channel. So that's cool that it's aggregating. Sorry, just kind of nerding out about the software there for a second. But yeah, we got Color Maker, Eric P, Donnie Thomas, Richard Bizon, probably butchered that. Sorry. Of course, Jim and Sav, Roy Amberg, Unplugged DIY Solar. They're here too. That's cool. Let's see who else is in the house with us tonight. Mike E, Brian Cox, Elkwood Bear, Nebraska DIY Solar, of course, Mike G, High Voltage Solar, Eric George, Betty Powers, John Guyver, all you guys. I'm sure there's more. Rod Solar World, Grace, and I'm just trying to whiz through here. But and Michael Adams, howdy y'all. Thanks for coming. It's good to see everybody. We'll go back through. If you've got questions, as Adam already has ticking across the bottom because he knows how to push the buttons too, and we can both co-host. This is actually kind of cool. If you've got questions, QQQ is going to be the name of the game. You need to make sure you put QQQ in. It doesn't matter if it's at the beginning or at the end. It has to be in there somewhere because I'm going to be filtering out the comments with that. So if it is a direct question for Dave, and we're going to start with questions for Dave, or if it is a question for Adam or I, then go ahead and put that in there, and we'll get them queued up. It's the cues, and then we'll go from there. Adam, before we do that though, like, how you doing, man? What have you been doing this week? Any power outages or Starlink outages or anything to deal with?
Oh my goodness, that was such a pain in the butt today. I don't know if other folks on the stream. I think I've seen a few of them, but yeah, we had that global Starlink outage. Figures I've had Starlink installed, and last week was the week that I disconnected my other internet provider, and then I have 2.5 hours of an outage today.
Mm.
I mean, it made work shorter, but uh,
Yeah.
then you're just trying. And where I live, I've got half a bar of cell service, so I've got my phone, you know, in the window trying to refresh and see, is the internet back on? Can I go back to work? Um,
Mm.
but I'll talk more about what I've got going on at the end of the night when we wrap up.
Okay, sounds good. I'm just kind of skimming through some of these comments. Most of it's just people saying hi and that kind of stuff like that. But also, yep, justifying. Oh, the text is so tiny. Justifying getting tools. Yeah, I've even got my wife doing that now. Nice, Eric. That's awesome. We got a question for Dave. Uh, Jim wants to know, where did you say you're living?
Yeah, I live in Ohio now.
Ohio. All right. And then Eric answered. He's in Ohio. See, that's a cool thing about not just us being up here on the screen, but you guys being in the chat, whether it's down below or off to the side, wherever it is. Oftentimes, the chat answers the questions because you guys many times know more about the subject than Adam and Rodney and I. So, yeah, if you know the answers, let us know in the comments as well. So, um, let's see. Look to see if we have any more questions immediately. Yeah, we got one for or I don't know if it's really a comment, but Adam, all I could think of during the outage is that sure you have. Yeah.
Yeah, it says something like the Wi-Fi went down, so I was forced to talk to my family or something like that.
Yeah, and also Elkwood Bear. That's absolutely correct, man. Like when it goes down, it's catastrophic because it's down for like the whole world. But yeah, 3 years on Starlink and it's only been down a handful of times. As opposed to I've got a buddy on fiber and he's switching over to AT&T hotspots because the fiber is out every other day. So
That's crazy.
it's absolutely ridiculous. And the fact that we're communicating, at least 2 out of 3 of us here right now on screen are coming to you via Starlink. It's kind of nuts. I used it a ton this past week while down in South Texas. All right. Jim wants to know, has anyone lost their inverters due to low batteries because of a smoking tree frog? No. No. I haven't. That's oddly specific, and probably only one smoking tree frog that did that. But that's sorry, man. That's a bummer. Hopefully it's literally. It's like when a June bug hits the little purple light or whatever, and it fries for a while. Austin, good evening. And let's see, Gray, 6,000 trees. That's amazing. Also, what kind of trees were they?
I planted 25 different species and I organized them according to the soil type, hydration, and windbreak and things like that. So I have some pines up front by the road, some more salt tolerant pines. I wanted those to grow quickly and block the view from the road. And I have a Norway spruce border that's about 4 rows deep around most of the rest of the property as a windbreak and a background. Then I have different types of deciduous trees on the interior. So in the spring and in the fall, I get a lot of different colors with the birch and the different kinds of oak and things like that. sycamore, and yeah, so there's all kinds.
Yeah, I love that you didn't just go in and monocrop the whole thing with one. Like a lot of people would just go, let's just do it all in pine or whatever. That's great. And salt tolerant pine. That's literally something I've never heard of in my entire life. That's because I'm in Texas and we don't put salt anywhere except for on our food. But that makes sense that you would need something that isn't going to die because it was planted by the road and salt's thrown on it and killed it. But that's interesting. I've never considered that. Um, just weird. But okay, cool. Mike E wants to know, Dave, are you a full-time YouTuber or is it a side gig?
So as I mentioned in the beginning, it was more of an accident that I am on YouTube. I call it a hobby that ideally pays for itself. So, I have a full-time job, and that's why I try and get out one video a month. That's my goal. But I have a family and I have a full-time job, and my goal is through like affiliate links and ad revenue to have enough income to pay for the activities that I'm doing, whether it's helping somebody install their own system or expanding mine or just testing out some equipment. I don't want to be putting out my own money that I work for on my day job to pay for my YouTube channel. So far, that wasn't the case in the beginning, but it's getting to be that way now. So that's good.
Yeah, that's great. So Bebop, one of my roosters caught a big old frog today, but don't think it was smoking though, huh? Yeah, man, it's crazy. So I've got a swell that I put in. I'm sure a lot of you guys have seen that, or some of you might have, or maybe no one. I don't know. Put in a swell to catch all the water that runs off the back of my house, and it goes around and it waters my fodder trees. And because I've been lazy lately, and I know I said I wasn't going to do this, but I just have been putting the water sprinkler on to just like shoot over the fodder trees all day long. And then I let my goats free range. And that's the only thing I don't want them to eat is that one area. So it keeps them away from it. But the swell is always full now. It's really more like just a really long pond. But the amount of frogs that are in that thing, just insane. The tadpoles are nuts. And so I keep thinking we're going to have a frog invasion at some point. But as soon as they start hopping out, the chickens just devour them. So it's actually making chicken food as well as goat food and rabbit food. So that's kind of cool. Like that function stacking is on fire this summer. Retro Z machine, man. And you know what else didn't notify you? That email it's supposed to go out. So sorry about that. Yeah. But howdy, good to see you. Let's see what else.
Get into some of Dave's pictures.
Yeah, let's do that. Let's do it. See if I can remember how we do it. I think it's here, but yeah, there we go. All right, Dave, what are we looking at?
Yeah,
I mean, solar panels,
that's
but
a down view of my shed. This was an expansion I did. I was looking for more real estate to add panels, and I'm like, hey, there's some space on my shed. So I used that opportunity to trial microinverters. I hadn't done microinverters at the time. And in this particular setup, I was testing bifacial and standard panels with a white roof background. So the microinverters allowed me to measure each panel independently. A lot of people were asking on my channel about bifacial panels on a roof. Is that any good or not? And so I have a video that shows the results from that.
Fantastic.
Yeah, that's just assembly of those panels on that roof.
Okay.
That's my first install there.
Before we move on, like what's the total wattage of this roof?
I've got 8 panels there. And they're about 375 watts each. It's a pretty small array.
And the bifacial gain, did you get much? Just the short answer. I know you've got the video talking about it.
Yeah, so Interestingly, the one on the end where the white edge of the roof would catch the sun and it would kind of bounce up under the panels, that one saw, some measurably significant gain. The other one's not a whole lot, but it wasn't zero. Not nearly as good as on the ground.
Right.
And that's with a white roof. If you space the panels out a little bit so the sun could hit the white roof between them, then you could see some gain that way. But then you're losing real estate to put panels on and paying for more racking. So there's diminishing returns there.
That really is something I hadn't considered, though. If you're only able to fit, say 4 panels on there, but you can shift them around just a little bit. If you can open them up in between, that would allow for that extra sun to come in and hit it. So I've just never considered that. That's a good point, though.
Yeah, you got to consider it's going to be more complicated to install. You're going to need significantly more clamps, a little more racking. Are you really using the money wisely in that case?
Sure.
We did actually have a comment come in from Mike E. He said that this was the video that introduced him to your channel, Dave.
Very cool. Let's see. All right. So you said this was your first array.
Yep, that's the first one. I had 24 panels. I did a bunch of research. Yeah, I told you in the beginning I had gotten quotes to do an install, and finally I couldn't stomach having someone else do it. I mean, the amount extra that it costs to have someone install it is significant. So yeah, I did it on the ground because I figured if I fell off my roof, then that would negate any value of ever doing my own solar, which I do not regret. And then when I was investigating different racking systems, the amount of concrete work that would have to be done to achieve the wind load targets was ridiculous. And I found this system with screws. And I made an adapter for my tractor, which, you asked me if I use my tractor. I use my tractor for everything. I made an adapter for the post hole digger, and I just drove all the screws myself and assembled the rack. And yeah, it works great.
Very cool.
How deep with those screws, did you have to go down?
Just below the frost line, so 3 feet.
Okay. I love that screw idea as opposed to the concrete that you have to put in.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a great solution. This video hasn't come out yet, so
ooh.
Sneak peek here. One of my professors from back when I was in college, he was talking to my son who had him as a professor. He's been there a long time. My son, he's getting just completed his degree in electrical engineering. He's working on his PhD now. But yeah, he wanted some help with his roof, and I thought it'd be a good opportunity to help him out. So I helped him design and install this system, and I've filmed the whole thing, and I'm working on editing that now, so that'll be coming out pretty soon.
Very cool.
And this system that we put on his roof, it's designed to cover 100% of his consumption.
Okay.
Wow.
That's great.
6,400 watts.
Wow.
This is one I did a while back for a friend of mine. I helped him. This one's on my channel. It is, he was putting in a pole barn, and he wanted to add solar, so it backfeeds his house, actually. And we used solar panels for this system. That's one of the reasons I went with a DC-DC optimizer system, Solar Edge, because with used panels, the panels won't be perfectly matched, and that doesn't matter when you're using that kind of system. So his goal was to have the lowest point of entry and make the most towards his house as he could. So that's on a metal roof, and it's been performing great. He had a tree that was shading it a little bit. You can kind of see some of that reflection on the right-hand side there. And he ended up cutting it down because it was causing some problems anyway. We saw about a 10% change in performance after that. That system is 9 kilowatts. There's a side view.
Is this the same one here? Okay.
Yep.
Nice.
Oh, one thing I should say about that. he came and talked to me while he was building his barn. And the nice thing about that was I could give him some advice, which was have the engineers include the weight of solar panels in the rafter spec. So that when you go to apply for a permit, you don't need to pay an engineer to check to see if your rafters are strong enough for the county. It's already included in the design. And so that saves some cost.
That's a great idea.
Yeah. Yeah, no kidding. Let's see.
This is, I was expanding my system, and so I purchased a 12K PV from Signature Solar to do some testing on and use it as an expansion when I added quite a few panels. I expanded my array, almost doubled the size of it. My original design was to supply about 60% of my power. And this past year, I covered 100% of my power. And part of the year I had an EV, and I still covered all of that. So,
all right. Yeah, that was one of the questions we had up here somewhere. Yeah, William L. Dave, are you up to 100% off grid yet? And
no, there's a big difference between producing 100% of your power, net power, and being off grid. Off grid is a huge thing, and it's a huge expense. And it would take significantly more. Being in Ohio, we have, a couple months where the sun rarely shines. And so I would need a large generator, a lot more solar panels, and a lot of batteries to achieve that. It'd be a significant cost. But my net production and consumption for the past year was 100% covered. More than 100%.
Fantastic. And then the second part is, what is your battery bank size?
Well, I have lots of different batteries because all I do is try different batteries. I don't have a nice match system. I have a SOK 25 kilowatt hour system that I put in with my Victron. I don't think I have a picture of that. I might have a picture of the Victron. Oh yeah, I do. There's one Victron off-grid system there. That is my main emergency backup system, so 25 kilowatt hours for that. But since then, I've got the 12K PV, and I have 15 kilowatt hour DIY batteries. I've been connecting to that, and that can run my AC and everything off grid. Whereas before, I was just running my refrigerator, emergency systems, things like that.
All right. Tell me about that solar panel behind the 12K PV. Is that your fire retardant? Or is that
that's my backdrop these days. So I have a test fixture out behind my house. I'm always swapping panels, testing performance of different solar panels. And apparently I was less than attentive to the tightening of my clamps one day. And it was a little hidden clamp just barely holding on there. And it wasn't fully tightened. It slid down. So the panel was actually just sitting there. And we had a big rainstorm, and it ripped the panel off the rack and smashed it into a stone wall. So that's actually pretty much shattered. So I can't really use it outside.
Gotcha.
Still makes a sweet backdrop though.
Yeah, but it's got some purpose still. It still produces power. It just, would corrode outside.
Sure. All right. Man, Chris, that's a bummer. So he says, we're getting solar installed next week, which is awesome. Hooray. I do my air horn, but I don't think I have that set up on this system. Yeah, there it is. All right, cool. But unfortunately, we can't DIY here in New Zealand.
Wow.
Man, what a bummer.
That's too bad.
Yeah, about 10 kilowatts of panels and 10 kilowatt inverter and 16 kilowatt hours of batteries. Fantastic. Man, that's awesome. Way to go. And sorry you can't DIY it, but at least you can do it. So that's pretty cool. Let's see. We'll move on to a couple more photos here. Okay, that's your DIY battery that you were just referring
There's
to.
a DIY. I've done a few of those the last few videos. I really like this option. You can get a case and purchase your own cells and build it yourself. And they're really cost competitive. And that particular one, Yeesh Energy has a JK BMS, which is a very popular DIY BMS. So there's lots of support for it. Very configurable. You can do exactly what you want with it. That particular battery I really liked. It has double mounts for each cell. So
Oh,
you get
nice.
really good connections with the cells. It has active balancing built into the BMS. Yeah, I think it's a pretty neat way to go. Here I have it connected to the 12K PV, running some testing with it.
Okay.
Did you
Oh,
ever do any like before you started doing some of these um the DIY server rack batteries, did you ever do just DIY cell builds?
I have a video for a 12-volt DIY cell build. Yeah, you can do it. I'm not a big fan of that execution.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
It can get messy.
it's just if you need, if cost is the most important thing to you, and safety and all these other kinds of things are not that critical to you, then yeah, maybe that's the way you got to go. But these days there's so many solutions like this where you can get a case with the BMS and all the cabling and everything already connected. You have a hard time doing something a 100% DIY. And this even has a fire extinguisher in it, that little red puck on the side there.
Okay.
interesting.
So
Cool.
I've done a little bit of it, but not a whole lot.
It amazes me how even in the last 2 years, like these DIY kits weren't an option
No.
when I built my first batteries a few years ago. But now, I mean, this only makes sense because you still can have that DIY touch of seeing how everything goes together,
Hmm.
but you're not lacking for any potential safety
Right.
options
Or
or
features.
yeah, or
Yeah.
features.
Right.
Yeah, one limitation here, it's not UL listed. So
Yes.
if you need that for a inspected install, you're not going to be able to go this route. But
Hmm.
if that's not required, then yeah, this is a really neat solution.
Before we keep moving on that, Elkwood Bear had a question, and he wants to know: are the ground screws also known as helical piles?
No, it's the same kind of thing.
Okay. Yeah, Roy says they're the same but different. Okay. Um, cool. All right. Let's move on a couple more of your photos here. Oh, this one's right on
Well, this
top
is a
of
fun
us.
build. This video did not get a whole lot of views actually, but it was fun to do. It was my recycle project. So the post, I needed a wood rack for storing firewood,
Hmm.
and I wanted to utilize solar panels as the roof for it because I didn't want to spend money on roof material when
All right.
I could use solar panels, right? So I sourced the wood for it. Those are recycled crossbars from power poles. So I got those for
Nice.
free. And the hardware, most of the hardware I used to put it together was from that as well. And then I did purchase screws. So I used screw pilings for those as well. And then the solar panels were Dents and Bents solar panels. So they were new, but scratch and dent panels. So it was kind of a recycle there. And then the bins were recycled from a mulch place near where I live. So I got those pretty cheap. And
Very cool.
yeah, it's a tiltable system. It's let's see, what did I calculate that at? Yeah, it's about 3,200 watts. And I use that for lots of testing now. I've
Hmm.
split it into standard and bifacial panels. I've compared string inverters to microinverters using that array. I've done analysis at different tilt angles because it's tiltable. Um, but yeah, that's a really fun project.
This was
Very
one that I
cool. I
really
like it a
like to
lot.
watch. And if I had if I didn't have so many trees around, I would actually try to mimic this setup for my firewood storage because I think it's just a great idea.
Yeah, I was a little concerned, like, you know, there's gaps between the panels, and I had a plan to like put foam in the gaps to,
Mm-hmm.
you know, keep the rain out. But the reality is that the vast majority of the water is protected. And because it's so open air, any water that does get in there dries out very quickly. So it's worked perfectly for keeping the wood dry.
All right. I do have one question though. Um, so you've got the metal bins underneath, and if I remember right, you've got your tractor. You can put forks on it.
Yep.
Have you hit the solar panels trying to pull a bin out?
No, I tilt the panels up.
Oh, I forgot they tilt.
Yeah.
Mm, gotcha. That's cool. Okay, so I've seen a couple of comments about Dave's audio being a little bit lower. I can't boost his up anymore, so I've
Hmm.
bumped Adam and my audio down, so now everybody can just bump up their own audio, and hopefully everything will level out. So if we just got quieter, it's in an attempt to equalize things. So let me know if it's worse. Let's see what else we got here. This looks
Oh,
like a bifacial testing ground.
yeah, this is funny. So I was experimenting with vertical panels, and this, you know, ties to my Alaska roots. Um, I visited a solar array in Alaska near where my parents live, and the snow collects on them in the winter because they're, you know, just at some fairly steep angle. And I wanted to see if vertical panels would solve that problem and provide a reasonable performance. So I was running these tests with vertical panels, and everybody wanted some reflector. So I made some reflectors. That's some mylar sheeting on cardboard boxes, and I ran a test with that. That video has over 1 million views. Now,
Wow.
That was
I
the one that introduced me to your channel, by the way.
oh yeah,
So yeah.
that's funny. So like I'm not advocating this as a solution. It's just an interesting data point. But I have vertical panels facing north south now because everybody wants to know what that result would be. And I've been collecting data for over 6 months now, so I have a full half a year. One problem I've had, thanks to Canada's wildfires, I haven't had really great solar days to collect data on this summer. So the summer solstice has been challenging for me to get.
Mm,
But I think we'll have enough data to show the results, and it's going to be pretty interesting. The vertical panels facing north south have a very different profile than the vertical east west ones, especially, you know,
mm,
winter summer. A very big difference in performance.
interesting. So my one thought on this, if the vertical panel is to avoid snow accumulation, your reflectors don't stand a chance in that situation. So it's kind of might not be a practical thing, but it is a really cool demonstration of the bifacial gain with the
Yep.
reflectors and all of that. Very cool.
The nice thing about the snow, though, is the snow does become a reflector.
Yep.
Oh, I guess that's true.
Yeah.
Um,
And if you look at my winter results, I show what the snow does.
Mm-hmm.
I have vertical panel with winter results.
and I can't remember on that one. Did you had it like set up? Because I'm thinking in this particular setup, the snow would accumulate and then actually cover the bottom of your panel, potentially removing all of your gain. Um, but yeah, that's cool. Like I love all these tests. It's cool to see the raw data and then just putting it together into something that has real test results. It's cool.
Yeah, in
So,
this particular case, you know, I have those panels mounted vertically because that's what I had to do for the hardware I had.
Mm,
But if you're putting in vertical panels, I would mount them horizontally for the same reason you just mentioned. You know, if you shade the bottom, whether it be with actual shade or snow or something like that, you don't want to cut off the bottom row of all the panels. Now, these are half cut cells, so you wouldn't lose the whole panel, but you'd lose almost half of it. But if you put them in horizontally, then as the shade comes down the panel in the evening or up the panel in the morning, you will have a better performance.
it's a great tip. You might have
so
just saved
Dave,
someone on here a lot of energy.
Dave mentioned results and everything. So on screen, you'll see his website, projectswithdave.com. I also dropped that into the chat. If you scroll down about a quarter of the way down his site, you'll see a link that says, "Does this work?" And it's a video on his vertical panels with the reflector underneath.
Yeah, so there's the expansion of my main array. So in order to expand, I had standard panels in my original install. The bifacials weren't a thing back then, at least not, mainstream. So I took all the panels from the top row, and based on my previous performance analysis, the higher the bifacial panels, the better performance. So I put the monophase panels on the bottom, and replaced or extended the whole array, and then the whole top was bifacial. So about doubled my output there. That's why I needed another inverter. My Solar Edge inverter, which is what I had for my original install, couldn't handle that many panels. It was only 7.6 kilowatts. So I needed more power.
You know what I'd be interested to see the results on, Dave, is run your results for a year with this configuration and then swap them to where the bifacials are on the bottom row, and then see if that does need anything to change it. That's a lot of work. Easy for me to say, for you to do.
You can see that the two panels on the end are both bifacial.
Right.
And the higher one always does better than the lower one.
Okay. So you know this. It's good. Very cool. Rodney's here. Or at least he was. Howdy, Rodney. Welcome. Get back to work. All right. Man, we got a bunch of more people in here. I can't remember who, but I remember I've seen some. Steven and Chuck and Brian. I think Brian wasn't here earlier. And then of course Austin. We shouted him out earlier with the comment. I'm gonna go through here and look for some more comments to look for. It's Average Joe, QQQ, or question. I guess it works the same, except I can't search for this one. If I leave this stream up and running and I go back outside to throw down some panels, true DIY style, will that be okay with you? Absolutely. We'll be okay with that. Just, so if you're still here, that's great. Well, I'll look through that here in a second, but I think that's all the photos that we had. Was there anything else you wanted to say about any of these before we close that segment?
I think there was one more that was a Victron off-grid system we could touch on if you have that one in the
I don't see that one in here.
All right.
Let's see here. Adam might be able to add it in there, though.
Yeah, let me go through and see if I can find it.
Because he knows what he's doing.
Yep, I see it right there. All right.
I know Adam seems quiet to me. I'm going to bump him up a little.
It's because I'm mumbling.
Oh, well, stop.
Add a slide. Oh, it was already there. I just didn't add it. So it should be slide number 13.
Oh, there you go. Yeah, so this looks like a jungle now. But I started with, one Victron inverter there, the one on the top left, and a couple of SOK batteries, and I was powering just my fridge. And then I expanded to two so that I could have split phase, and expanded the number of batteries to 25 kilowatt hours. And then I added the solar charge controller at the top there. And, this is a good illustration of the complexity of a modular system versus an all-in-one like the EG412K PV, which has all of these components in one box. Now, they're not the same. This uses toroidal transformers, so you have full isolation. It has a very long track record, so really dependable, reliable equipment. But it takes a lot more to wire it, and it's more expensive. There's a lot of things to consider when you're putting in a system. But a lot of people use Victron for their off-grid systems,
Mhm.
mostly because, right now there's very few of them that are UL listed. So if you're doing any kind of on-grid stuff, it's not a great option for you at this time, but maybe in the future.
I think the 3K and the 5K recently went UL listed.
Yep.
So okay,
Very
so
cool.
we've seen a couple of different inverter setups that you have.
Mm-hmm.
Do you have a favorite?
Well, I think it would depend on what you're trying to do.
Okay.
So I've tested now a DC-DC optimizer system with SolarEdge. That was my first system. It was unnecessarily expensive for what I originally did. I have no shade on my main array. It's not on a roof, so I don't need module level shutdown. The appropriate solution for that would have been just a straight up string inverter. Now, the advantage to that was I got panel level data that I used to make all kinds of analysis for my YouTube channel, which I could have never done without it. But just from a cost perspective, the other thing I really like about that system is it's completely silent. There's no fans. It's all passive cooling. It was just a really nice, tight, clean install, and it always works. I never have a problem with it. If you're doing a small off-grid system and you want to be sure it is always going to work and never have a problem and has good isolation, I think the Victron is a great solution for that. If you start getting into split phase and a lot of solar input, and I think the complexity of wiring and the cost, you might find all-in-one solution like an EG4 or one of those is going to be more convenient. Fans are pretty loud on my 12K PV, but they don't kick in till there's a 50% or more load on it. But I like to work in my garage, and I don't like fan noise, so that's a detractor for me. But from a cost and performance, what you get for what you spend, it's really hard to beat that system. So I don't know if that answers your question. I think your favorite and then the microinverter. So I use microinverters on my professor's roof, the one we just did, based on my research that I did on my shed and some collaboration that I did with a local off-grid system designer here near where I live. And he spent a lot of time with microinverters, and he recommended the ones that we used for this channel. And I've been testing them for over a year now, and I've had much better results with them than the ones I originally used on my shed, which I've had several failures. But microinverters, if you're going to go grid tie only and it's going to be on your roof, so you need module level shutdown, you don't have long runs, it's really hard to beat a microinverter for that kind of system. So completely depends on what you're trying to do.
Yep.
Yeah, I love that answer though, because it's easy to just get into like, this is the best thing and you need to absolutely use it for every situation. I've even got a video out on like the best off-grid inverter. Obviously, it all depends on what you're trying to do in your situation, and that's great. I love the answer. A couple questions coming in. George wants to know, where did you buy your DIY battery?
Well, there's several sources, and if you go on my website, projectswithdave.com, I have several tabs there: inverters, batteries, and so on. If you click on the battery tab, I have lots of options there: turnkey systems and DIY systems that you can look through that I've tested, and the videos are on there too. You can look and watch the video, see the assembly, and see the test results, and see if it's something that fits for what you're trying to do.
Okay. Rodney wants to know, what was your first ground mount called? I don't.
Called.
The racking system?
Oh, gotcha. Yep. That's
it's Ready Rack.
I was like, do you have like a pet name for each of your, what was it again?
It's Ready Rack.
Ready Rack.
Yeah. If you go on my website on the components tab and scroll towards the bottom, I have a couple of racking systems that I've used or know people who have used that have confidence in. Unfortunately, I don't get any affiliate revenue from those, but I have them on there to just help people out.
Yeah. All right. Looking back through the questions. I'm about 10 minutes behind on it. So, all right, here we go. Oh, who's gonna do the first video on the Boss Box? Man, I tried to get
Mhm.
one this week. Um, so shout out to Signature Solar. I went down to the Hill Country disaster. There's actually several of them right now. South Texas or Central Texas, just outside Austin. And there's the stuff that you're seeing in the media, and then there's also all of these other little creeks that flooded with people losing everything that are getting no coverage, seemingly no help from the government. It's been a disaster on multiple levels. But I was heading down there. It all happened really quick. It was right before the stream last week, or a few days prior, and um, I reached out to my contacts over at Signature Solar and just, hey, I'm heading down there. Can you send some stuff? And I was like, a boss box, boss box. I always get it confused, whichever one it is. Um, would be awesome and perfect for the situation. However, due to logistics and stuff, it just didn't work out. But they did hook us up, sent me down with um, a 6000 XP, 10 Aptos, whatever it is, Aptos, the bifacial panels, and then uh, those buckets. I can't remember what the brand is on them right now. Like the ground mounts that are the
Oh,
buckets
yeah.
that you just throw some dirt in them.
Yeah.
Perfect for this situation, right? I mean, absolutely brilliant um, for quick deployment of disaster relief solar. Um, I mean, we were able to just whip them out, lay them on the ground, shovel some dirt in it, and just get it going really quick. And we were powering a massive air conditioner for a tent that was kind of being serviced as a warehouse. So it was cool. And then Big Battery, they also they decided to throw in two Husky twos to send down with me. So just huge shout out to those guys for donating a ton of um, great equipment. So good companies and great products, and helped out a bunch of people. So that was cool.
Cool. Now, is there
Um,
gonna be a video of that coming?
there will be. I was trying to think if we have time. I do have like 4 minutes, or I could even just show just a couple seconds of the preview of what's coming, but I'll probably just wait. That's going to be coming on my channel. I went down with Grindstone Ministries, guys. If y'all are looking for a way to give back or give to some of these disasters, Grindstone Ministries is probably hands down. In fact, I'm going to drop into the chat right here all of their links. Um, let's go over here, post to all. This is not their website, but it's like their all my links page. So you can go there, you can figure out how to go down and help, how to donate. If you are somebody who's been affected by this, there's even an app on there called Crisis Cleanup, or a website, crisiscleanup.org. You go on there, you can just fill out like, look, my house washed away and I need someone to come
Hmm.
help me out. Or anything, greater or smaller than that. Put it on there, crisiscleanup.org. It was huge. We used that a ton. But yeah, thanks for letting me take a break there for a second to talk about that stuff, because it is important, because a lot of it's not getting covered. Um, moving on real quick. We've got another question. Elkwood, let's see, says, dumb question. But why don't y'all collect rainwater off the panels for watering, etc.? I've never seen gutters and wondered why. So I I know that the what is it, the carports that
The
what's that
Chico.
brand? Chico carports do have gutters to collect water, or really just to keep from falling on your car. Outside of that, I haven't seen that either. Dave, have you installed gutters on your panels?
Yeah, well, here's the problem with that. If you live in a place with snow, uh, you're going to have you're going to be restricting the snow moving off of your panels likely. And if you're attaching that to the panels, then you might end up damaging them. I've considered it, like the ones on my wood rack. I want to direct all that rain into my mulch pile so it'll decompose faster. I had the guy cutting down wood chipping all the stuff around the power poles. I'm like, hey, you want to drop that in my yard? So I got this big pile of wood chips there. I'd like to decompose, but yeah, you by the time you hang it off the panels and risk damaging your panels with that extra load, and then in the winter, if you're in a place where you have winter snow load and things like that, it's too big of a risk.
Elkwood does not. He lives just down the road from me here. It's we don't do snow. I mean,
Yeah,
unless it
so,
does, in which case then it's
Then
catastrophic.
everything shuts down.
Yeah.
and then be careful what you connect it to because you're going to add wind load with that.
Yeah. I've toyed around with the idea on my chicken coop solar panel roof,
Yeah.
but the panels hang off so far over the edge, it's almost like an eave
Yeah.
that I need to figure out some way to bump that out. Cause I was always thinking, man, I could try to recoup some of that rainwater for feeding the chickens, feeding the ducks.
Was that a pun? Recoup it?
Yeah.
Hmm.
But it's like Dave said, you've got to figure out where do you mount it? I've got to deal with the snow. How do I make it so that I'm not just creating more of an issue for having that snow slough off in the wintertime? Lots to think about.
Yep.
Couple questions here. Yeah, I don't know if it's a question or more just a comment. But Brian Cox, I've noticed that with my 12,000 XP, I put a fan on the floor pointing at the inverter, and the fans hardly ever run now. Interesting. Even with a 9 kilowatt load. Um, interesting. Yeah, I've got my mini split blowing right across the fans on my 6,000s behind me, and it doesn't seem to do anything. And Donnie says, I have 6,000 XPs and they scream all day and all night, but I don't care. I love to hear them going. That's awesome.
Couldn't do it.
Yeah. They do have a special sound.
Yeah.
I don't love it. But I do love that when it does mean they're working, right? You get to know that. But outside of that, um, I could do
See,
without the noise.
I wish that the fans would kick on and do that scream, as the sun rises in the day, just so that yes, PV is being produced, but as soon as it hits that point, lasts for 5 seconds, and then I want it to be silent.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay, we're gonna try to blow through these, do a little lightning round. Mike E, Dave, if you have a failure on a micro inverter, does that equal a total failure for the panel, or does it bypass somehow?
Well, a microinverter is usually connected one per panel, either one microinverter per panel, or like the ones we just installed, it was 4 panels per microinverter. So if that microinverter fails and every panel that's connected to it is no longer going to produce power, but every other microinverter on the system will still produce power. So it's not like a string inverter. If a string inverter fails, you lose everything.
Okay, good answer. All right. Solar in Stark. Let's see, Dave. Thanks for all your technical analysis. In your opinion, would it benefit at all in Florida to have bifacial panels as a fence? I guess vertical panels.
Yeah. So the advantage in Florida is there's hail. And if you have vertical panels, then the hail will either hit the top edge, which should be aluminum, or it'll hit at a very steep angle, which should glance off the glass much more effectively. But you have to take into consideration you're going to produce a lot less power, so your payback is going to be slower. If all you have is your fence as real estate and you have nowhere else to put them, then you just got to consider, does the performance merit the cost?
Hmm. Yeah. Grace is saying amazing solutions for the emergency setup. Yeah, referring to the those ground mounts, which I should look up the name of it, just so I can give them a shout out on that. Um, and Brian, it's good to see some of these bigger companies actually taking better care of the public than the government. Yeah, it was rough down there. And then Grace was saying that she helped in Helene in Georgia. Um, yeah, and so many people without power for over a month. So when I got home, I made sure to get batteries set up. Yes, and get our and our lightning truck ready for power and critical loads. Yes. Um, and
Yeah, we're at 9 o'clock already.
yeah, we've
Yep.
hit an hour and 1 minute, guys. So let's see. Let no QQQ, but we'll do this one as the last question. Carrie says, can you hook up a 6000 XP to a transfer switch directly? Um, as your power, like instead of having a like a grid panel going to it, um, I would say it'd be out of spec for the manual. You're supposed to have the grid coming in, if that's what you're talking about, coming off of that 40 amp breaker. Um, what are y'all's thoughts? I'm not saying I haven't done it, but what are y'all's thoughts?
I think he's asking, can you feed it in like a generator to one side of a transfer switch? Is that the question?
Hmm. Yeah, if you can give us a little bit more, like on the input, the grid, or the load side. Um, what are you looking for there? And then maybe we can answer that question. But in the meantime, um, Dave, why don't you? Any last thing you want? Yes, you said yes. Um,
Which one?
yeah, load or grid.
Maybe we'll have to answer that
Yeah,
question
we
another
might have
time.
to. We might have to.
Yeah, thanks for having me on. It's been a lot of fun. I've enjoyed sharing this time with you guys. It goes fast, and it's fun to just chit chat with the solar community. I get a lot of questions, in my regular daily life, but it's good. I think this is a good activity you guys have going here, and thanks for having me on. I think it's an opportunity. People can ask some direct questions and just hear some honest chat on the topic. And instead of, when you make a video, you're trying to fit all this information into the shortest possible amount of time. At least that's what I'm always doing. And I'm going through hours of footage and trying to squeeze it into a few minutes, and you just can't cover
Yes.
everything. So this is kind of
No.
fun. Thanks for having me on.
Absolutely. Adam, I'll give you a couple seconds or minutes or whatever you need, and then I'll see us out here.
Well, I did put, we've got Dave's website link with all his data and the different products that he's looked at on screen. I also dropped his website or his YouTube channel in the chat, so that if you're not familiar with his channel, trust me, you will not be disappointed going over there. He goes through a lot of stuff, but it's good stuff. I mean, that vertical panel test alone, like you said, 1 million views because everybody wants to know, can you do it? What does it do? So head on over there and take a look. Um, I believe I'm on deck for next week. Um, Next week will be the last week that we're doing this kind of round robin, different channel thing. We did end up creating a new channel. Again, if you're coming in late and haven't heard about it, Unplugged Solar, you can subscribe there. We are streaming to both right now. And then in 2 weeks, we will only stream to Unplugged Solar. Make your lives easier, make our lives easier. I do have a video coming out this weekend. I did a manufacturing tour of Midnight Solar's
Ooh, I've been looking
facilities.
forward to this one.
Um, that took me a long time. Like Dave was saying, you get hours of footage and you have to try to edit it down to something meaningful. So for
whole hard drive full.
Oh my goodness. So I think it comes out to channel members for me on what day is today? Thursday. Tomorrow morning at 10, and then for everybody else, it'll come out Saturday at 10 a.m. Eastern. So, Dave, thanks for joining us tonight. It really was fun. I mean,
my pleasure.
Just the knowledge and the details. I'm always a fan of the details. So keep it up. Eric,
Yeah.
thanks for driving. Appreciate it. And,
Hey, it was like I
have
felt
fun.
like I was in an instructor car for like driver's training or whatever, driver's ed, because like you're basically driving right there along with me. It's great having multiple button pushers. But yeah, Dave, man, thanks. It was great to see you live for the first time, like person to person here. It's always great to meet fellow DIYers and solar enthusiasts. Um, Thanks for coming on. Wealth of knowledge, and yeah, your channel is great. And definitely, if any of y'all haven't seen it, as Adam's already said, go check it out. Subscribe to Dave's channel. Um, we're going to be doing a lot of stuff, like I said, on the Unplugged Solar channel, but that might also start opening up the opportunity for memberships and special hangout times and all sorts of cool stuff. So get ready. This is it's kind of a hard move for us, but it's a big move so that we can do the things that we really want to do with all of you guys and gals. Um, I've got a bunch of stuff coming up, and it keeps stacking up more and more and more. Um, Mike G, gonna be doing some high voltage stuff soon, so get ready for that. I haven't told anybody that yet, but that'll be fun. Excited about that coming. Still have all the other things that are on my plate. The day I left to go pick up the solar stuff from Signature Solar to then drive it down south, I also received a pallet of panels for myself here. So, as I've talked about a couple times, and I think last week someone was asking, "Where's Eric at on that solar array?" I I've seen it like for 10 minutes, so we'll get to it. But it's going to be exciting. I'm looking forward to it.
Eric's finally adding solar.
Finally putting solar on my property. No, at least making it part of something serious here. That's pretty much it for me, guys. Just want to encourage y'all to live faithfully and prepare thoroughly for good times or bad, because you never know when the creek's going to rise or not. All right. Thanks, y'all. Bye.
Thank you.